Okay, so on the Add Column tab, there are a few buttons here to do with columns. Let's have a look at these. And we've looked at column from examples and conditional column before, but we're just going to have a look at some of these other buttons. Let's start by looking at the index column button. Now I'm going to take you to the query called 10 most expensive products, and what I want to do is give every one of these records or these products a number. And so I'm going to add an index column, so add column, index column. It immediately places it to the end of the table. I might decide, well, I don't want my index to start at 0. So in my query steps, you often see a cog, which is the settings for that step. If I click that, I can then get into the fact that I want my index to start at 1 and to increment in ones. So I'll go OK to that, and that's exactly what it's done. And then I want to drag that column and make it the first column in that particular query. So that's an index column, as if you want to apply a value to each record. Now let's have a look at creating a custom column, this button here. I would like to go to the employees query. All of these employees work for the same company. They work for a company called Northwind. So I want to add a column, a custom column that says that the company is Northwind. So we'll go add column, custom column. Immediately this comes up and says, well, what do you want to name the column? Well, I want to name it company. And then what's the formula that says what goes in this column? Well, it's just text, so double quote whenever it's text, and then type Northwind. That's the name of the company. So as soon as I click OK, it will have created a column at the very end of the query that is called company. And I want to move that to beginning, so I'm just going to go transform, I'm going to go move and say to the beginning. And then I can just drag that and drop that after title. So that's where I want the company to reside. Okay, so that's one example of a custom column. Now while we're in here, I just want to do something else as well. I just want to grab home phone. This comes in a later video, and just F2, name that phone. Okay, so that's that query dealt with. I now would like to go to the orders 1997 to 2000 query, and I want to add a column in here. Now the column I'm wanting to add is to be called unit price, and it's basically to grab the net sales, the net column, and divide it by the number of units. So I'm going to add a column. It's a custom column. It's to be called unit price. And it's a formula that says grab the net. So I start typing net. Now as soon as I start typing net, that triggers this drop down, and there's my field net. So I double click that. And I want to divide that by units. So I type units, UN, and now I can double click units. And so I've created a formula that basically says grab the net column value and divide it by the units value in the units column. And I'll click OK. And so there's my unit price there. Now I'd like to change the unit price to a fixed decimal number. So I click my little data type here and fixed decimal number. And that makes all of them 2 decimal places. So those are 2 examples of custom columns. Now we've looked at conditional columns before, but I now want to add a conditional column to this query. I want to say that if the net is greater than 1,000, then there is a discount of 10%. And so let's create a conditional column, add column, conditional column. The name of this conditional column is discount. And the discount is if the net is greater than or equal to 1,000, then they're entitled to 10% discount. Else it's 0%. And OK. And so if I look here, I've now got a column called discount, and it'll either be 0.1 or 0. So I want to change the data type. I'll just click this option here to percentage so that it looks like a percentage. So there I see 10% discount because it had a net value of over 1,000, 1681 to be exact. Now I want to create a custom column again. So I'm going to go custom column, and this custom column I want to be calling gross. And this is to grab the net field, N, E, double click net, and it's to multiply it, open bracket, to 1 plus whatever the discount is. Oops, multiply it by 1 plus whatever the discount is. So I go dis, and there's discount. So I created a column called discount, and now I'm using it in subsequent formulas. So the net value is to be multiplied by 1 plus the discount, so 110% or 0%. And I'll go OK. And so I have this column now called gross, which I would like to show as a fixed decimal number, so it looks more like currency. And there it is there. So I have calculated my gross. And I'm just going to go home and apply that to my BI, and then eventually I'll save that as well.